I don't like Megalopolis anymore now because of this, but I appreciate his dedication to it.
It takes a Megadoc to cover a Megalopolis. Mike Figgis was on the set as Francis Ford Coppola tackled his dream project, the sprawling, expensive, one-of-a-kind Megalopolis. Yes, sure. Why not? We'll go with that. Anyway, now we have Megadoc to take us behind the scenes of that event.
I read it, and then I emailed him back, and I said, this is a nightmare.
What is going on right now? That guy knows.
Yeah, this comes out this Friday. We've got a couple different documentaries looking at film, and this is one of them. Yeah. We reviewed Megalopolis when it came out last year. They did these very special screenings on like the biggest IMAX screens, and there was a Q&A afterward, and there was
there was a Q&A before,
That's
which made
right,
no
it
sense.
was before. That's right. It was confusing because it was before. So he was talking about things we haven't even seen yet. That is true. But as you said, famously, he footed the bill for this himself. He sold off a portion of his wine business. It cost $120 million. It's the number that keeps going around.
Yeah.
But I'm guessing it's more just as we're doing math, watching this movie, it's like $9 million for costumes and $7 million for makeup and like however $1 million it was for catering because it was this giant, cast and crew. So this is a movie that he's been working on for like 30 years. This is his idea of ancient Rome, but set in modern day. It looks like New York. It's shot in Georgia.
Yeah, right? And the production facilities in Atlanta, including the hotel that he opened down there, that was like for people who wanted to see how films were made, but also for people who wanted to make films there. It pops up in this movie.
Yeah, I think if you like process, you will enjoy this. If you like behind the scenes stuff, and especially looking at who all might have been in this movie if he had made it many years ago. You see this 2001, like pre 9/11, 2001 table read featuring Billy Crudup and Uma Thurman and Robert De Niro. Like, that's amazing to me.
And then and then you see like video of a later, like, I don't know if these were run throughs or what, but with Ryan Gosling and Virginia Madsen and Kip Pardue. So it's like, this is a movie that he had to get out of his system, and it finally happened a couple years ago. Yeah.
And so I don't like Megalopolis anymore now because of this, but I appreciate his dedication to it at a period in his life and his career where it would just be easy to enjoy his wealth and comfort and just make wine and enjoy his grandchildren. Like, he still had this drive. He's still so vital. Yeah. He's got so much energy at this point, and it's long days, and he's like squabbling with Shia LaBeouf. Like, one of my main
long days of arguing with Shia LaBeouf.
He's such a pain in the ass, Shia LaBeouf. But like, I also kind of appreciate that he cares and he wants to get all these little details right. Like, Shia LaBeouf, say what you will, not phoning it in. Like, cares deeply and wants to make this work. But the questions he's asking, Coppola doesn't want to answer, and he's like, just get away from me. Like, I'm act.
Yeah, if you're interested in like actors being actory, there's a lot of that between these sort of early rehearsals where they're doing these kind of like theater games to then later on where they're like, they're on the set and they're having these questions like, well, why were they doing this if they thought and that is part of it. And there's just like, it's the million pieces of filmmaking, what Milena Canonero is doing over in the costume department and what the special effects are and who's building the models, sets, and so I think Figgis, as a filmmaker himself, is really good at capturing the kaleidoscopic nature of filmmaking and how, as much as we think of it as like, Coppola on a pedestal doing everything, like as Orson Welles famously said, it takes an army, to make a movie. There's a shot here that I think is almost a metaphor for what Coppola is doing. So there's a scene where somebody comes running through a wall, and so we see them shooting it, and it's a guy on a treadmill, and he's like, kind of fast walking, and the treadmill gets faster, and he's running faster, and he's running faster, and he's running faster, and then finally just goes careening off the end of it and shatters through this like prop wall. And I was like, Yeah, that is the process of making Megalopolis, and probably most every other movie. It's just on a different scale.
Yeah, no, that's true. And when you look at the movies that he made his name on, this element of crazy and being willing to burst through that wall exists for all of them. Like look at Apocalypse Now,
Sure.
And so although that makes total sense, like he is who he always was. And I admire the singularity of vision of all of that. And just like the little interviews with people, it's almost Christopher Guest. The people as they're like in the rehearsal room, like doing the theater games, and they're trying so hard to be on board, but you can tell that they're also like, what is even happening here? When I signed up for a Coppola film, I did not think I'd be doing like rudimentary acting exercises with like sound balls.
Well, and there are also people that were like, I read the script and I didn't understand it, but I said yes. Like they're just so thrilled to be there and to work with him that they're like, maybe the final cut, this will all make sense to me, and I'm just going to go in and do my thing, do what I'm asked, and pray that somebody is making all of this make sense. And you and I do not think that anybody did make all of this make sense, but this movie, like all Coppola films, has its champions. So
and the idea that he keeps saying, I just want this to be fun.
Yeah,
there's such a disconnect between that and the final product. This is not a fun movie. I mean, it's lavish and it's lurid and it's campy at times. Like that Shia LaBeouf performance and Aubrey Plaza as well are giving wildly over the top performances. But Megalopolis is not a fun movie.
Not really, no. And there's a thing that he says at one point. He says something like that things come from fun and from pleasure, that toil yields nothing. And I thought, well, I mean, toil yields, the crops and, houses and stuff. Like, it can't all be fun, Francis,
Your vineyards that make the wine.
Toil yields the wine, exactly, yeah.
Let's talk about Aubrey Plaza in this.
She's very aware that she is giving interviews to a making of documentary at times, I think, which is fun. But I think she's also excited by the possibility of getting to play a role that is not the usual thing that comes to her, working with a caliber of director that is maybe not the kind that she has been used to up until that point. But yeah, there's some at least unspoken, if not spoken, side eye going on for a lot of it. Yeah,
and the early Zoom auditions that she does for Coppola, there's like this weird anger, like this undercurrent of danger, but she also kind of seems to thrive on every challenge he throws her way. Like she seems to be really, she's excited about the prospect of being taken seriously like this.
So she's in Sicily on the set of White Lotus, and he's Zooming with her, and for some reason he is wearing like white tie, like he is in full formal wear, and it's never explained why. And I'm like, it's after 6. I don't know. This is how Frankie Foco does it.
So funny. I also enjoyed just the fact that you have Mike Figgis, this longtime filmmaker, getting to watch another filmmaker work, because that happens so infrequently, right? When you are a director, you don't usually go to other people's sets and watch how they function. And his running like sort of a confessional monologue into the camera is fascinating too, and how his perspective on this film is evolving as he's watching it get made. And by the end, he's just like, I don't know what this is.
And I mean, I will say the movie ends with the premiere at Cannes. And I kind of feel like there's more to that story, just because, the whole thing of him, of Coppola trying to sell the film before Cannes, and he had that screening at Universal City Walk and all the studios sent reps and nobody wanted it. And so then he kind of hammered out a deal with Lionsgate where he would be responsible for putting up like $1 million or something of publicity or whatever. And Utopia comes in, which is a company that's owned by his nephew or whatever. And, and then the reviews and the response. And I feel like that's the missing epilogue of this movie that we don't get. Like, sure, yes, the premiere is on the one hand, an ending, but really, I think, and yeah, I mean, really, ultimately, the ending of this movie is in 50 years. What are people going to think about it, and how will it be remembered in the Coppola canon, and will any of it be remembered? And will this movie hold up, or will it, will opinions about it change? Like there's these stories never end, but I think that ending it at the Cannes premiere feels a little like, I think you could have gone a couple steps further.
A little abrupt. Yeah. Well, if you like process, you'll enjoy it. So I think for that alone, if you're a fan of Coppola's films, if you like how movies get made, you will enjoy being a fly on the wall with Mike Figgis for this. So what's your number on Megadoc?
I'll say a 7.1.
Okay. I'll say a 7.6. So Megadoc's out this weekend. It'll probably be limited and then expanding. So keep an eye out for it.